Have you ever looked at the person who holds your heart and found yourself asking the quiet, profound question, of all the people in the world, why you? It's a question that hums beneath the surface of our most intense connections. Love, in all its breathtaking beauty and bewildering complexity, often feels like a mystery unfolding without a map. We are pulled toward one person with an invisible, irresistible force, while another leaves us entirely unmoved. We call it chemistry, fate, a spark. But what if it's something deeper? What if every significant attraction, every person who makes our soul tremble, is actually a message from the deepest, most hidden parts of ourselves? The brilliant Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung proposed that love is not merely an encounter with another person, but a profound encounter with ourselves. He believed that the magnetic pull we feel is often rooted in two powerful, unconscious currents. To understand these currents is to do more than just understand love. It is to embark on the ultimate journey of self-discovery. Imagine, for a moment, that your psyche, your innermost self, is a vast and ancient garden. There are parts of this garden you know well, the sun-drenched flower beds you tend to every day, the sturdy trees you rest beneath. This is your conscious self, the person you believe yourself to be. But beyond the familiar stone wall, there are other parts of this garden. A forgotten, overgrown thicket, a hidden grove where strange and beautiful night-blooming flowers grow, a patch of thorny weeds you've long avoided. This is your unconscious, a landscape rich with hidden potential, unhealed wounds, and dormant strengths. Love, in the Jungian sense, is what happens when you meet someone, and their very presence either beautifully reflects your sunlit garden or, more mysteriously, hands you a rusted, ancient key to a gate in that forgotten wall. They don't create the landscape within you, but they illuminate it. They invite you to walk in places within yourself you never knew existed. Today, we will walk through this garden together. We will explore these two fundamental paths of attraction that Jung laid out for us. This isn't just a psychological theory. It's a living map that can help you navigate the labyrinth of your own heart. It can explain why you feel that sense of profound rightness with one person, and that dizzying, almost dangerous fascination with another. By the end of our journey, you may come to see the loves of your life past, present, and future not as random events, but as vital guides leading you back to the wholeness you were always meant to embody. If this idea of your heart as a garden, with its sunlit patches and its mysterious, shadowed corners, is already planting a seed of curiosity within you, take a moment to subscribe to Mind Decode Explained. We journey through these intricate landscapes of the mind together, seeking not just answers, but deeper, more meaningful questions. Let's begin in the most familiar part of the garden, the place that feels like home. The first path of love Jung identified is the path of recognition. We fall in love, he suggested, because we find ourselves in another person. When you meet someone and feel an immediate, comforting click, as if you've known them for 1,000 years, you are likely treading this path. It's a connection born of familiarity, a resonance that vibrates deep within your soul. This person seems to reflect the best parts of who you are, or who you aspire to be. They might share the same values that form the bedrock of your identity: a passion for justice, a love of quiet mornings, a belief in unwavering kindness. When they speak, it's as if they are giving voice to the thoughts you've held silently in your own mind. Spending time with them feels like coming home, a deep exhale you didn't even know you were holding. This isn't always a conscious checklist of shared hobbies or opinions. The familiarity can be far more subtle, woven into the fabric of your history. Perhaps their sense of humor is the exact shade of dry wit your beloved grandfather had. Maybe the way they listen, with a focused, gentle intensity, reminds you of the one teacher who truly saw your potential. These echoes from our past, as Robert A. Johnson explores in his work, We, understanding the psychology of romantic love are incredibly powerful. We are not just falling for the person in front of us. We are falling for the beautiful, comforting reflection they cast of our own cherished experiences and ideals. They affirm our world. They look at our carefully tended garden and say, "This is beautiful. I see its value. I want to be here." This kind of love feels safe, validating, and deeply nourishing. It's the feeling of being profoundly seen and understood. Have you ever felt this? That sense of ease, of being able to lay down your armor because you've found someone who speaks the native language of your soul. This connection strengthens our ego, our sense of a stable, coherent self. It solidifies our identity by showing us that the person we are is lovable and worthy. It's a beautiful and necessary form of love, providing the foundation of trust and security upon which deep intimacy can be built. It feels like finding a missing piece of a puzzle, only to realize that piece is a perfect mirror of one you already held. But human connection is rarely so simple. What about the other kind of attraction? The kind that doesn't feel like coming home, but like venturing into an exhilarating and slightly dangerous new territory. This leads us to Jung's second, more paradoxical path of love. The irresistible allure of our own hidden self. Our shadow. This is perhaps one of Jung's most profound contributions to understanding the human heart. The shadow, as he termed it, represents all the parts of ourselves that we have repressed, disowned, or simply failed to recognize. It's the repository of everything we don't want to be, or are afraid we are. But here is the crucial point that is so often misunderstood. The shadow is not just a cellar of our negative traits or anger, our envy, our selfishness. It is also a treasure chest of our undeveloped potential. It holds our unexpressed creativity, our dormant courage, our buried passion, our wild, untamed spontaneity. It's the part of our garden we've deemed too messy, too wild, too dangerous to cultivate. And so, we build a wall around it. Then, one day, someone walks into our life who seems to live and breathe the very essence of that forgotten land. If you are a person who has built your life on order, control, and predictability, you might find yourself impossibly drawn to someone who is spontaneous, free-spirited, perhaps even a little chaotic. Their existence feels like a challenge to the very foundation of your world. And yet, you can't look away. If you have always been the good, compliant person who avoids conflict at all costs, you might be mesmerized by someone with a fiery passion, who speaks their mind without fear and fights for what they believe in. This attraction can be deeply unsettling. A part of you might be critical, even disdainful of these traits in them. Why am I drawn to this chaos? Why do I admire this aggression when I've spent my whole life being gentle? Jung's answer is that your psyche, in its relentless pursuit of wholeness, is trying to get your attention. It's saying, look, this quality you see in them, a version of it exists within you too. It's locked away in the shadow garden, and it's time to find the key. This is not the simple pop psychology idea of opposites attract. It's far more personal and profound. We are not attracted to a random opposite, but to a specific person who embodies a quality we have specifically disowned in ourselves. As Robert A. Johnson so brilliantly explains, in owning your own shadow, we project these hidden parts of ourselves onto others. When we are enchanted by someone's artistic freedom, it is often because our own inner artist has been starved and locked away. When we are awestruck by someone's confidence, it's a signpost pointing to the confidence we have yet to cultivate in ourselves. The intense emotion, be it fascination, irritation, or a confusing mix of boths the clue, that emotional charge is a homing beacon from your unconscious. The other person becomes a living, breathing symbol of your own lost potential. This type of connection is rarely calm. It's charged with tension, mystery, and an almost electric energy. It pushes our boundaries, challenges our self-perception, and forces us to confront the walls we've built around our own hearts. Have you ever been drawn to someone who seemed to be your polar opposite? Someone who both fascinated and frustrated you? It's possible you weren't just meeting a new person. You were having your first real introduction to your own shadow. This brings us to a crucial and often misunderstood aspect of shadow attraction. There's a common misconception that a relationship based on shadow projection is inherently toxic or doomed to fail. And while these connections can certainly be volatile if they remain unconscious, that is not their purpose. Their purpose is not destruction, it is integration. The tension and conflict that often arise in these relationships are not a sign that you should run away, but an invitation to look deeper within. The discomfort you feel is the friction of growth. It's the growing pains of a psyche trying to become larger, more inclusive, more whole. Let's return to our garden metaphor. You've spent your life tending your neat, orderly flower beds. You meet a person who is like a wild forest, untamed, unpredictable, full of life you don't understand. Your first instinct might be to try and tame them, to prune them, and make them fit into your neat little boxes. Their instinct might be to run wild all over your careful arrangements. This is the source of conflict. The real work, the true magic, begins when you stop trying to change them and instead ask yourself a different question. What is it about their wildness that my own soul is crying out for? Is there a small patch in my own garden where I could let something grow wild and free? This is the process Jung called individuation. It is the lifelong journey of integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of ourselves to become a complete, authentic individual. And our most intense relationships are often the primary crucibles in which this alchemical work takes place. The person who embodies our shadow is not our enemy. They are our unwitting spiritual teacher. They hold up a mirror, and in their reflection, we are forced to see the parts of ourselves we have abandoned. The work is to withdraw that projection, to realize, the courage I admire so much in you is actually my own sleeping courage. The creativity that enthralls me in you is a reflection of my own unexpressed creativity. This requires immense courage. It requires, as the researcher Brené Brown might say, a profound level of vulnerability. We must be willing to sit in the discomfort of our own imperfections and unrealized potential. We have to be brave enough to walk through the gate into that overgrown, shadowed part of our own garden and begin the slow, patient work of tending to it. When we do this, the dynamic in the relationship can transform. The compulsive, obsessive pull can soften into a more conscious and mature appreciation. The conflict can ease, because we are no longer fighting our own shadow in the form of another person. We are learning to embrace it within ourselves. So, why are these two unconscious paths, the pull of the familiar and the allure of the shadow, so important? Because they reveal that falling in love is never just about the other person. It is one of the most powerful catalysts for our own psychological and spiritual growth. Whether we are drawn to the comfort of a mirror or the challenge of a shadow, each significant relationship offers us a unique opportunity to understand ourselves more deeply. The relationship that reflects our known self helps us build a secure base. It gives us the strength and stability to feel safe in the world. But it is often the relationship with the shadow bearer that truly compels us to grow. It is on this more challenging path that we find the richest soil for inner transformation. The initial feelings of anxiety, confusion, or even fear can become the very fuel for integrating the parts of our personality we have left behind. The encounter ceases to be solely about them and becomes a profound encounter with our own internal barriers, our own limited self-concept. The relationship becomes a sacred container for the journey of individuation, the path back to our most authentic and complete self. Think about a relationship in your life that was particularly intense or difficult. Can you now, with this lens, see what part of your own shadow might have been at play? What quality did that person possess that you had either condemned or secretly longed for in yourself? Seeing it this way doesn't excuse painful behavior or absolve anyone of responsibility. But it can reframe the experience. It can turn a story of pain into a story of profound, albeit difficult, learning. The relationships we thought were failures or mistakes often contain the most crucial lessons, the keys that unlock the next stage of our own development. The friction they created was polishing the stone of our soul. This is the alchemy of love. It takes the lead of our raw, unconscious attractions and, through awareness and courage, has the potential to transform it into the gold of self-knowledge. This understanding fundamentally changes how we approach love and relationships. It's no longer a quest for a perfect half who will complete us and provide endless harmony. Instead, it becomes a courageous journey of embracing the whole picture, a journey that welcomes both nourishment and challenge. Love becomes the path not only to connect with another, but to touch and reclaim the disowned parts of ourselves. When we can recognize that our intense feelings, both positive and negative, are often rooted in these unconscious reflections and projections, we gain a powerful new perspective. We realize that in our reactions to our partner, we are often conversing with ourselves. We are meeting our own soul in the mirror they provide. This doesn't mean we should seek out difficult relationships on purpose. Rather, it is about learning to recognize when a connection is touching upon an internal conflict or a part of our shadow. It's about developing the wisdom to see a moment of relational tension not as a catastrophe, but as an opportunity. It is an invitation to get curious. Imagine you are with your partner, and they do something that triggers a surprisingly strong wave of irritation or insecurity in you. The old approach might be to blame them, to focus entirely on their behavior. The Jungian approach invites a pause. It invites the question, what is this feeling in me? Where does it come from? What part of my own hidden garden is this person's action currently illuminating? Perhaps their carefree spending triggers your deep-seated fear of scarcity, a fear you've never fully addressed. Perhaps their effortless social grace highlights an insecurity you carry about your own introversion. The moment you turn your gaze inward, the dynamic shifts. The goal is no longer to win an argument or prove you are right. The goal becomes understanding. It becomes healing. You learn to embrace both the light and the shadow as indispensable parts of who you are and who they are. Love, in this light, is not the search for perfection, but the courageous practice of showing up for the truth of ourselves and of the other, with all the beautiful, messy, human contradictions that entails. It invites us to be real and to have the grace to embrace imperfection. It's a dance between seeing the other person for who they truly are and understanding what they represent for our own inner world. In the end, Jung's perspective reveals love as one of the most potent, transformative forces available to us. It is an engine of soul-making. Whether we are drawn to the sunlit garden of the familiar or mesmerized by the mysterious wilds of the shadow, every deep connection is a chance to learn, to grow, and to become more whole. When we understand that our attractions reach into the deepest wells of our unconscious, we can enter into our relationships with a new level of consciousness and intention. We can stop asking our partners to be our saviors or to complete us, and instead see them as fellow travelers, fellow gardeners, who are helping us discover the full expanse of our own inner territory. Love is always in motion, because we are always in motion. We are constantly changing, growing, and becoming. So the next time you look at someone you love, or think back on a connection that changed you, you can ask that question again. Why you? But now, you have a new way to listen for the answer. The answer may lie not only in who they are, but in who you were and who you were becoming in their presence. Were they a mirror, reflecting your beauty back to you and giving you the strength to stand tall? Or were they a key, unlocking a gate to a part of yourself you had forgotten, daring you to be braver, wilder, and more complete. When we recognize the pull of the familiar and the call of the shadow, we understand that every person who truly touches our lives is more than a romantic partner. They are a guide. Through the magical dance of attraction, projection, and reflection, love invites us, again and again, on the most sacred journey of all, the journey home to ourselves. Look at the love in your life, right now. Look at the people who have shaped your heart. What part of your own vast, beautiful, and mysterious garden are they inviting you to tend to next? The greatest love story is not one you find in another. It is the one you are brave enough to write with your own evolving soul.